Thanks for staying with us. So we told our guest is running late. She actually went to Ikosiketu. We've passed it. We're now in Atlantic.
Yeah, 5 months old.
Yeah, 5 months here. So unfortunately,
elevated.
she's on her way back, but I'm not sure she'll be able to make it. But either way, we'll still bring her on because it was actually Mercy Aigbe. She wanted to come and talk to us and hopefully talking about her movie, her new movie. But let's just come back to the conversation. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity with her again.
I have a cousin I really respect, and the husband is very hands-on, and I had a conversation with him concerning their daughters and the level of intentionality with which they've raised those girls. So he was talking about the fact that when they knew this girl would be going into the university and it would be abroad, from when she was 15, they started preparing her, okay, when you can hang out with your friends, this is how you take Uber. Yes, this is how you take Uber. This is how you cross the road. This is how you have your card. This is importance of financial discipline. No, even while she was here, she didn't leave until she was about 18. So they had a 3-year prep from like when she's like in SS1 to start saying, okay, from SS2, you spend days in the boarding house so that you start understanding the times and schedule, being alone. Then then they took her on driving from 16, understand a bit about to drive. Some people you don't just throw the child. Yeah, there's a preparation. And even when the admission came, that, okay, you're now in university, don't do the admission while you are going to the university. Let's get the admission a year before you actually go so that you feel less emotional pressure. Then whenever we discuss parenting, it requires so much from the parents that I'm wondering, do we really have, because I know the sacrifice this family make, the effort they put into doing all of this intervention. It doesn't mean that they've even gotten it right. There are still mistakes along that way, but how do we find this balance when we're talking to people that they are looking at pepper is this price, Gary is this price, I'm hustling school fees for this child. You're telling me to sit down and be telling the child, this is how you should do. Like, I'm not with school fees to take me. You know, so sometimes we're talking from our worldview, being that God has given us a bit of ability to provide a little bit. Some people don't have that at all. So how do we balance this conversation in a way that is fair to everybody listening?
I would like to, okay, so maybe we'll look for another example, because it's that you don't have, that you are not materially there, does not mean that parents are not intentional or they are unable to be intentional. Sometimes because you don't have that material wealth, you're even more intentional. You're more intentional because you know that there's this lack and you don't want this lack to affect their upbringing. So sometimes in making these comparisons, let's not make it about what people have, like the material things that they have, but let's talk about it, let's discuss it around intentionality. And a rich person can be intentional, a poor person can be. A rich person can be careless as well as a poor person can be. I've seen people that have come from poor homes and they've carried themselves with such dignity, you know, because of the way they were raised. They understood that the only thing I lacked in this life is money, but everything else I had. And there are some people that were raised with so much money and they were so intentional in the way they were raised that people were like, he's so well brought up, the way they behave, as if, you know, they were not raised with money or help. And yet there are some people that come up from those backgrounds, but because there was no intentionality, no one really paid attention. It was like money misroad. How do you have this kind of? So it's really about listening,
listening and having conversation regardless of.
Also, it's also important that your present reality is not something your children should detach from. I talked about my shopper that passed, and I felt that in protecting, when the husband left about 10 or 11 years back, he left her with all the girls, all 3 girls, and she wanted to shield them. So she found a way to put them with her friend. She would go and hawk. They never saw the work. Hawk till whatever clean, and once she's coming back, coming back with food so that they're never hungry. So they never saw the work. Just before she passed, I was having a conversation with the child. I was like, do you know if your mom were to die today, you will suffer? And the girl was wondering. I said, because you don't know what it is to put it down. You don't know what it is to put it there. Don't detach too much from your child. I remember my friends, they went to FGC in Benin, and they would come back. Their father would have prepared NEPA bill. Those days, prepared NEPA bill money. This one is your own to go and pay for this. It is you to go and pay for that. And they'll say, Daddy now give us money for transport fare. I'm coming from Dolphin, and I have to take bus, and I just used to laugh that in my own house. These are normal conversations. Who sent you? I make my 1 naira 50 kobo from the 10 naira that I earn per day. You are in the business of what your parents do. You are in everything. You are not detached.
Very, very
so
important.
you know their sacrifices for you. And we are now raising kids. Even myself, I'm guilty of it. And we are detaching them so much from what we are going through. There was a time that we were doing Salah. It was a day to Salah.
To withdraw money from
Miriam, let me shock you. My daughter was only 9 that year.
Teenager,
so we saw cheap tomatoes at a particular point. But I have a target place at Abule Ado. Then they had not built the rail lines, this Lagos rail. And that place, they used to put pepper there. They would stop and it's cheaper. And I said, okay, I got to trade fair and I bought. And I told my daughter, okay, let's go to Abule Ado. And we went to Abule Ado. The one at Abule Ado was now better. I just put her on the bike, put the tomatoes on the bike and said, can you find your way home? She said, of course, mommy. This is it. Yes. I said, can you go from Abule Ado to the house? She said, yes, mommy. She got home. My neighbors were shocked. She took it right to Yolu's grinding engine. She came home with a basket of tomato, tatashi, everything on the bike. She shredded it like this, 9-year-old. I came with the one that we had bought earlier.
Auntie, calm down. That is child abuse.
No,
auntie, calm down.
My dad reminded me.
Come and arrest me. Share the thing that my parents did to me. The fact I'm even making is that, no, Mariah, we underestimate the abilities of these children. Ordinarily, with all my eye I've seen with childbirth, I would have said never. But I tried it. Can you? She said, don't worry, mommy. She got home. By the time I got home with my own basket, they pluck the shot.
At 9, I was going from Mile 2 to Ilukweju by myself, but that reminded me. I watched the video of the documentary they did for my birthday, and it was saying that when I entered the primary 6, I was like, Daddy, driving from Mile 2 to Ilukweju every day doesn't make sense because he's working in Mile 2, so I can take a bus. And I was taking bus from Mile 2 to Ilukweju while I was in primary 6. And when I entered secondary school, they would drop me in Oshodi, and I would go to Abeokuta by myself. I went to Compro, and I found my way to school. Boarding house, carrying my bag. I go to school, I come back by myself. So we are so panicked. Even within Magodo.
Okay,
so how often do you drop my children?
Let me tell you.
How often do you drop? Did you not drop?
I pick my son every day as if he cannot walk.
Yes, I'm telling you.
My sons find their way back.
My mom, night duty. So there were nights that I would have to sleep alone with my sister and wake up and get ready for school. And we'll get into a taxi. So we'll walk from the house to the junction, then get into the first taxi, then go to the next, that will take us to the next junction, get to the next taxi. If we're lucky, we'll get a taxi going straight to the junction close to my school. If not, we start walking. Like I used to do that. There were times that, they'll forget us in school because my mom would think, oh, she's at work, someone is picking us. Nobody is picking us. I now realize time is going. I hold my little sister's hand and off we go. You see, bank moves. I used to go and put money in the bank for my mom, go and withdraw money in the bank for my mom.
It's not trauma. It's not abuse.
The roster for her workplace. Please, just University Teaching Hospital, people are owing me money. You see that roster, that was my job. Every staff, I'll write there, and then their schedules for the month. Every time she would bring it to me. As a teenager, I was in secondary school.
Okay, let me do
so
that.
If they throw you go Canada, you go call depressed, not call us.
I would have hustled.
I dare you.
Let me also share my own story. Yeah. So me, I came 12 years after. I was looking for me.
Yes, no good.
I didn't do jack. Nothing. And I still turned out okay. So it depends on everybody has a different one.
No, your siblings see you.
Exactly.
They were with me. My brother was there. I have Michael. Thanks for calling Michael.
There was nobody that would have supported me. I had to learn myself.
Hello, Michael, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So, I was thinking because I wanted to take this from a different perspective.
Please.
As a Christian, as someone who has been taught in the biblical ways, David in the Bible made us understand something about his relationship with God. He said, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So when we're talking about discipline and harshness, we must know that God is our first example of who a parent should be. And he said, thy rod and thy staff, they bring comfort. So it means that there must be a balance between the rod and the staff. And one thing I've also learned as a teacher by, profession, I learned that for you to be a genuine and a sincere teacher, you have to be a student. So it gives you the understanding that to your children, you're a teacher. And if you must, teach them, you must be willing to also be a student. That means you must be able to learn from them. And that is what brings about, apologizing when you're wrong and making them see you as the first example of who a female should be and a male should be. Because children, the reason why God created, when social studies, just as it is being taught in school, it says family is the basic unit of the society. So it means the reason why we have a mother and a father is so that if it's a girl child, the girl child can see the mother as a first example. And if it's a male child, the male child can see the father as a first example. So we must see ourselves as teachers to them, so that everything we are doing, we are teaching them to become like us later. So it won't be a repetition of how our fathers and mothers treated us in the past.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's go on a very short break. I'm told our guest is here. Just like 5 minutes, we just have her a few minutes. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.